the City Council for the City of Brainerd. It's Monday, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m. I will ask Mr. Bergman to call the roll.
Stenglein.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Chesak.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Stunek.
Here.
Terry.
Here.
Bevins.
Here.
And Bedot.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 4 is the approval of the agenda. Is there a move to approve?
Johnson.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, approves, opposed, same sign. Next up is the consent calendar. Notice that to the public that all matters listed are considered routine by the council, will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the council votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call. Is there a move to adopt the consent calendar?
So moved. Second.
Terry, second by Tiffany. Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stenglein.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Chesak. O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that motion is adopted. Next up is the Safety and Public Works Committee, Chairman Mike O'Day.
I believe we skipped one item.
Community member of the month.
Oh, my goodness, I apologize. Anytime I see the mayor, I don't know.
I would too.
All right.
all go
Item
blank.
number 6 is our Community Member of the Month, the Honorable Mayor Dave Bedot.
All right, so this is one of my favorite things that we do at the council. We don't do it every single month. We try to do it as often as we possibly can when there are worthy candidates. But one of the things we want to do as a city is celebrate our citizens who go a little bit out of their way to show that life in Brainerd is something worth being a part of. And as you can see on the screen here, we've got a wonderful young lady that has been selected this month. And I'm going to read a little something here. This is an email that I received that was sent to Miss Meyer. It says, "Good afternoon, Miss Meyer. I am thrilled to be writing about a student at your school whose art has been selected for the My District, My Minnesota program. We invited students to submit photos or drawings of life in their district. Each senator then chose the one they felt was best representation of their district. Amira Cosgrove's submission was chosen to represent District 6. We will hang her submission in the first couple of weeks of February, and it will be on view in the Minnesota Senate building for the rest of 2023. And now you can see a picture of Amira's drawing there. Obviously, it is down in the state capitol, so we don't have it here. We're going to have to get a copy of it to hang here in City Hall. But I just want to speak just briefly that one of the things that I feel very strongly of in being mayor is that I want to help us reach out and let our young citizens know that this is a great place to live. And whenever we can see a young citizen that is showing pride for their area, it's something that I think that we should definitely celebrate. And Amira, you picked my favorite thing. So it wasn't hard for me. When I saw that, I said, well, there we go. That's your winner right there. Because the water tower is something that I feel very strongly about. And it really does represent us. It has become the symbol of our city. And, even though it was a terrible water tower, we all know that. It was not good at its job. It is now good at what it does now. So, Amira, I would like to congratulate you for being the Community Member of the Month for this month.
We're both in the picture, just fine.
I can hold it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, O'Meara. Next up, 7, Council Committee Report. 7A is the Safety and Public Works Committee, Chairman Mike O'Day.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 5 items tonight. First of which was a parking lot closure for the VFW Freedom Fest. Motion coming out of committee was to recommend approval of the attached application under the conditions as described in the event application, and to allow staff to close the parking lot beginning Friday afternoon to prevent vehicles from parking in that lot prior to the event. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Chesak. Any discussion? Mr. O'Day.
This is an event on the 17th of June, I believe. June 17th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They'll be using the Laurel Street parking lot. That is the parking lot in question here.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item was a request for enhanced signage at Laurel and 8th Street intersections. We did not actually have a formal motion on this item. There was a concerned citizen that sent a letter to the mayor, actually, in regard to this intersection and cars running the stop sign. We requested some information from the police department. We have had 1 accident there in the last 10 years. They did some extra patrolling and watching this intersection. They didn't see any obvious problems there as far as cars ignoring the stop sign. We did discuss with staff other options, as the LED lights would be about $2,500 per sign. That's up to 10 grand for 1 intersection. If we start doing that all over the place, that can get expensive really fast. So we directed staff to look into maybe adding a paint stop line before the crosswalk and or some flags to gain attention on the north-south route on that intersection. But there was no formal motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anybody else think that something should be done with this? If not, we'll move on.
All right. Next item was a resolution to authorize the application for the Minnesota DNR Outdoor Recreation Grant. Motion coming out of committee was, get the wording right. Motion coming out of committee was to recommend adoption of the attached resolution authorizing the application for the Minnesota DNR Outdoor Recreation Grant for the Lum Park Beach and Campground Expansion Project, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, second by Chesak. Any discussion? Mr. Chair.
We did actually approve this grant application last week and then found out we actually need a resolution, so this is just cleaning that up.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stingline.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Chesak.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item was a discussion on park properties. If you remember, I think it was either last meeting or 2 meetings ago, we discussed 3 different park properties that we left off of designating them as park land formally. Buffalo Hills Park, Gustafson Park, and Trailside Park. We wanted to have the park board actually discuss these parklands and see what their vision is and see what their ideas are. They haven't actually had that discussion formally, so we're just going to push this item back until that actually happens. So again, we did not have a formal motion on this item.
Thank you. Anybody wish to add anything to that discussion? Hearing none, please move along.
Thank you, Mr. President. Final item was the discussion on the Lum Park Road SPRA project. We've had quite a bit of discussion on this one regarding removing parking. The idea was to narrow the road for traffic calming and then take away some parking on one or both sides of the street. A lot of our council members here just have talked about not having any desire to do any of that. The park board actually agreed. They didn't want to remove parking either, and or add parking elsewhere, which would add to the cost of the project. We do have grant funds for this project. In the end, the motion was to leave the road as is without removing any parking and to move forward in that direction, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by O'Day, a second by Chesak. Any discussion? Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
Mr. President, if you'll allow it, I have a question about the SPRA project, not necessarily this specific street in question, if I can ask it.
Go ahead.
Are we adding a light at the public access down at the water as part of this project?
We are not. We brought that to a park board meeting a few months ago, and they decided that they did not want a light at that area.
They don't want it to be safe to land your boat at night? Okay,
They said they do not want to see a light installed at that boat launch.
thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
End of report.
Thank you very much. Item 7B, Personnel and Finance Committee Chairman Gabe Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 6 items, the first of which is the insurance premium. And the motion is to approve the insurance renewal from LMCIT for the period of March 1st through February 28th, 2024, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, a second by Stunek. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
We had budgeted a 5.5% increase. It came back at about a 10% increase, largely from the increased valuation of our properties and buildings. But it's about a $10,000 difference, more or less, to the city.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
President Bevins?
Yes, Mr. Chesak.
I have a question about the timing of March 1st. I understand, it's April 3rd. Is there a grace period then from the previous year? Because I guess I just look for an explanation. Why are we acting on something that actually should have been done before March 1st, the way I read the documents?
Thank you, Mr. Chesak. Mr. Johnson?
I would defer to Connie on that one, Mr. President.
Connie?
Thank you. Actually, the policy did renewal in time for March 1st, but they don't have enough time to get it all put together and back to council before that renewal period starts. So we usually do it a little bit after the renewal period. But we were renewed in time for the March 1st. We were covered. There was no lapse in coverage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Mr. Chair, before you move on to the next one, there are a bunch of people here. I don't know if you feel you need to hear any public testimony. You heard some down in committee, but if you do, they've asked to
I
speak.
defer to you on that, Mr. President. I heard enough down in committee. If you guys want to hear it, you may.
What do you think? You guys haven't heard the Northland Arboretum issue. I could ask just the chair to come up of the organization, or you don't have to. Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on. Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to hand it over to Councilmember Terry to make this motion.
So committee talked about considering the request for the Northern Arboretum to extend their agreement through December 31st, 2026, in line with the other 2 agreements that were made, and I so move.
Second.
A motion by Terry, a second by Stunek. Any discussion?
That would be me.
Yes? Kara Terry.
So, as the council liaison on the ARB board, I have heard the history about the decision made to limit the ARB funding to the end of this year. And in talking with Candace and seeing the work that she has done to ensure that she is in line with the council's recommendations, I believe that she is fulfilling the requests of the council, knowing that making a significant fiscal change in 18 months is quite a task and a daunting task. So giving them additional time to continue on the path that they're on, to diversify their funding, increase membership, makes good sense to me. And I believe it should be in line with the other 2 organizations that were funded. So what I know to be true is that Candace has increased the membership. We being the ARB is now at 24% Brainerd residents in terms of membership. She is working to increase the number of members just over a bit, 1,300 plus members at this time. She's also working on different funding sources, including fundraising. She's been collaborating with other local nonprofits like the YMCA. Relationship Safety Alliance and the shop, which are included in our community to better serve our residents. I believe she's on the right track, and I think we need to extend the funding. I think that's all I have to say, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I voted no down in committee. I'll be voting no up here, too. I think there are a couple misconceptions here. The other two groups, as they're referred to, is the Center and Brainerd Community Action. Both are organizations that had a levy go to referendum. The voters approved it. The voters wanted that to be spent. It was like 100 years ago, and maybe that should be changed, but that's a different discussion. For the Arboretum, it went to the voters twice. Both times the voters said, we don't want to pay taxes for that. About 20 years ago, the City Council and the Charter Commission decided to start giving some money to the ARB for a short term to help get them on their feet. I think 20 years is more than enough. I thought the 18 months we gave them as a landing pad was more than enough. And ultimately, I just ethically can't support taxing the poorest people in the county to finance the leisure activities of the richest people in the county. It just doesn't seem right. So I will be voting no.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman O'Day?
I'll be voting no on this as well, and it's not anything against the Arboretum. I was actually able to sit down with Mrs. Zimmerman as well. We had a great conversation about changes that have been made at the Arboretum. I think they've been doing a great job, as well as some ideas on how to move forward in the future that could be more mutually beneficial for the city and the ARB. As this sits right now, I just think that it's a operation. It's just not following our operations the way that we should follow them. If we're going for an RFP for all three of these, this is exactly what that is not. This should be going up for an RFP in the fall so that we can get a contract set for whoever the organization is that's going to receive these funds, or organizations that are going to receive these funds. I know of 0 other organizations that are going to apply for it. Chances are the Arboretum would probably be the only one. But there are also some things that we could get into a request that would benefit the city more. If we're just gonna extend this without really revisiting that situation, I don't see the point of even having the conversation 11 months ago that we had. So the council kind of gave direction at that point, and I don't think we should be revisiting it until we open it up for a proposal again.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. President?
Yeah, Mr. Chesak?
I have a question, and it relates to, and I apologize, some of the documents that were provided, I couldn't read them. A work group was supposed to get together with other entities in the area, such as Baxter and Crow Wing County, and I have not heard of any progress in that area, and that was all about helping finance, provide revenue for the ARB. So if anybody, I don't know if anybody can give me an answer to that, how that's going, if it is or not.
Can you?
I'd be happy to.
Administrator Bergman can answer that.
Mr. Chair, Councilman Chesak, so the motion made by council was to include the formation of a working group between the cities of Brainerd and Baxter, Crow Wing County, and the Northland Arboretum. Candace Zimmerman did take the lead on that and created a work group. The city of Baxter, the city of Brainerd, and Crow Wing County were all invited to attend. The county administrator politely declined to participate in that work group. We met twice. Candace laid out her thoughts and ideas on how she would increase revenue to the Arboretum and then reduce the need for city funding in the future. And so that is included in your packet, that fundraising. Sean, if you want to expand that, it's the fundraising strategies.
Jeff was asking about the group.
The group met twice, the work group. I think I said that.
That's all I need.
That was his question.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Administrator Bergman. Any further discussion? Jeff Chesak, anything else you need to know?
Thank you.
Okay, no speaking in favor or against the motion? And before we vote, everybody's had a chance once to speak. I will speak in favor of the motion. I can't answer what people wanted to do 100 years ago. However, I think to make things a level playing field, I mean, and I like the idea that this council at the time, 11 months ago, discussed the possibility of changing how we, or if we, fund these groups or any other ones at all. However, in the meantime, if we're going to set a line in the sand, I think it should all be fair, or all be even. And so I'll be voting in favor of the motion. Everybody spoke. We'll ask for a roll call if we can, just to make sure the answer is clear.
Stingline.
Yes.
Johnson.
No.
Chesak. No. O'Day.
No.
Stunek.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes, that motion passes 4-3. Please proceed, Chairman
All
Johnson.
right, thank you, Mr. President. Next up is a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Battalion Chief Joe Rubedo effective July 31st, 2023, and I so move.
We have a motion by Johnson. Is there a second?
Am I
I
second?
don't know whose turn it is. We messed it all up.
How about over here on
I'm gonna say
PNF?
second. I'm gonna
Anybody on
second it,
PNF wish to
Mr. President.
second the chairman's motion?
I will second it, Mr. President.
Oh, okay.
I'm awake now, we're good.
Okay, just don't mean to interrupt. Second by Terry. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
Battalion Chief Joe Rubedo has been with the fire department for 26 years, so that's a lot of institutional knowledge right there. He is effective, not as much as Kevin Stunek has, but the retirement is effective July 31st, 2023, so he is giving us a bit of time to try and find his replacement and transfer on all the knowledge he has from the years he's been here.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next up is paid on-call hiring, and the motion is to approve the fire department to establish a paid on-call firefighter hiring list and to hire up to 4 paid on-call firefighters, and I so move.
We have a motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Stunek. Slight delay. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
The goal is to be at around 40 firefighters. We're currently at 38 with the retirement we just acted on. We're going to be at 37 this summer, so we're going to hopefully hire up to 4 more this summer and be at 40 trained firefighters in the city.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you. Next up is Public Utilities Director job description and internal job posting process. And the motion is to approve the Public Utilities Director job description as presented, further to conduct an internal-only job posting process as recommended by the Work Group and BPU Commission, utilizing the 2023 BPU Superintendent Finance Director wage grid, and I so move.
Motion by Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Terry. Any discussion? Chairman Johnson.
This is the job description and recommendation that came out of the work group we put together with Councilmember Terry, serving with a couple members of the Public Utility Commission and staff members, and this is their recommendation, and I think it's good, and we should all approve it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our final item is informational only. If you look to page 152 in the packet, you'll see that the Public Utilities Commission passed Public Utility Commission outdoor banner program policy. So there it is in all of its glory, and that's the end of report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Next up is, we'll flip the page here, item 8, unfinished business. Item 8A is a public hearing and consider a resolution for Housing and Rehabilitation Small Cities Development Program grant submitted by Connie Hillman on behalf of the HRA. Connie, anything you'd like to add to what's in our packet?
No, but I would just like to turn it over to John Schomer with the HRA.
John, would you like to come up and give us the highlights? Yes. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Council.
Mic on, John.
Oh, sorry about that. A little better. Thanks for your time tonight. The public hearing is for us to allow the HRA to submit a grant on behalf of the city for some owner-occupied housing rehab in the portion of southeast Brainerd. The target area is on a map outlined in your packet. You can see where the major area would be. There's also a small portion. A Plan B, we're required to have that for deed, just in case we aren't able to hit our target or our goals for the target area A. There would also be rental rehab available through the grant as well, should we get the grant awarded to us. Application deadline is May 1st, and we will find out sometime this year, June, July, maybe August, if it is funded. So, any questions for me?
Any questions of John? Nope, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so we're looking to, we're gonna open the public hearing at 7:56 and ask if anybody in the audience or online wishes to speak to the Small Cities Development Program grant application. Looks like the online's pretty Spartan this evening.
It's 'cause Eric made it.
Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this resolution? And for a final call, we will close the public hearing and we will look to adopt a resolution authorizing local government application. Can all three of these be part of one motion, Mr. Attorney? So the second part of this is to authorize appropriate signature on the citizen participation plan. And the third part is to authorize appropriate signature on the conflict of interest disclosure form.
I'd move 2 through 4, Johnson.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Johnson, second by Stengline. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, Administrator Bergman, please call the roll.
Stengline.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Chesak. O'Day. Stunek. Terry. And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. We will move on to item 8, unfinished business, 8B, adopting a resolution for denial of the conditional use permit for a 5-unit apartment at 2307 Crestview Lane. And this is Mr. Kramvik.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the attached resolution is a document that provides written findings for the denial of the 5-unit apartment complex at 2307 Crestview Lane based on council's findings at the last meeting. The findings in the resolution are related to design inconsistencies to adjacent residential uses, a large parking lot adjacent to a residential backyard, too small of a lot for an alternative orientation, and inconsistencies with the comprehensive plan's future land use map. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the resolution with findings to deny the conditional use permit for a 5-unit apartment complex at 2307 Crestview Lane.
Thank you. Is there any questions of staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to?
So moved.
Yep, we have a motion by O'Day, second by Stunek. Any discussion? Any discussion? Please call the roll, Minister Bergman.
Stengline.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Chesak. O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek. Terry. And Bevins.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. We will move on to item 8C, committee resignations. Linda Hummel from the Library Board. Is there a motion to accept the resignation with regret?
So moved, Johnson.
Motion by Johnson, is there a second? Second by Stengline. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is item 8D, committee recommendations recommended by Mayor Bedeau. We've got Justin Grecula for the EDA, expiration 2026. Is there a
Move to approve, Mr. President.
move to approve Chesak?
Second.
Second by Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is a call for applicants. Item E, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, the circle of life. We add one and we remove one. So call for applications, information is available at www.ci.brainerd.ms.us.boards. The following committees are looking for individuals that are excited to participate in the process that is our city. Charter Commission, 2 terms expiring 2026, 2 terms expiring 2025. Library Board, 1 new one right here. 2025, expiring 2025, excuse me, hot off the press, and in the agenda. Just knowing, it's almost like we knew it was happening. Rental License Board of Appeals, 5 terms expiring 2024. TAC, 1 term expiring 2023. We also have 1 term left on the Economic Development Authority. That term expires 2028.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and as president, I have 2 openings, one on the Parking Commission to expire 2026, and one on the Planning Commission to expire in 2025. Item 9 is the public forum. This is time allocated to bring matters, for citizens to bring matters not on the agenda to the attention of the council. Usually we like to keep it to 3 to 5 minutes. It's 8:01, the public forum is open. If anybody in the audience wishes to come forward and speak to the council on anything that we haven't discussed this evening, please step forward now. I'll ask a second time. And a third time. We will close the public forum and we will go to staff reports. We'll start off to my left to the HR Director, Chris Schubert, Fire Chief. All right, Attorney Lango? Okay, Mr. Kramvik, Community Development Director.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items here. So at the next Planning Commission meeting, the commission will be holding a public hearing for the revised lighting ordinance and the zoning code. The commission will also be reviewing parking ordinances, particularly minimum and maximums of other city codes, as the Planning Commission continues to work on the parking ordinance. Also related to the industrial properties, VCV, the cryptocurrency, they have been resubmitting plans, preliminary plans at this point, to include actual buildings and structures on the property rather than outdoor storage. This would be a permitted use. They're looking at building within the confines of the zoning code. However, as this was approved by the EDA, it would have to be brought back before the EDA, so that may be at the June meeting, looking at potential redesign of the property. And that is everything.
Thank you. Mr. Dean, City Engineer, Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. So our eyes are on the forecast for tomorrow and Wednesday, calling for about 4 to 7 inches of snow. Keep your eyes open for the potential on snow emergency notifications. Hoping this is going to be the final one. We will need to possibly call this season. That said, the freeze-thaw weather that's been keeping the melting slower in the river down has also created kind of havoc with the potholes throughout town. A lot of the communities are also having the similar issues so far this year. Maintenance staff has been out throughout last week as well as today, and we'll continue to do it this week, patching on the biggest potholes as the weather allows. Finally, the contractor on the 25 bridge replacement project, they have moved up their timeline and is intending to begin work in 2 weeks on April 17th. So be prepared for closures and detours that will likely affect routes throughout town.
Thank you very much. Chief Stunek, will you be out measuring snow?
I will.
All right, good. Nothing from the Finance Department? All right, Mr. Charpentier, anything from the, nope. How about from the ITGIS Department?
Nothing tonight.
From the Police Department? Administrator Bergman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a written report in your packet, but just want to draw attention to a couple of things. I've been asked by Council President to give an update on CC's Bar and their liquor license. As you know, at the February 6th meeting, she did come up at public forum and ask if she could have an extension of her premise. We did reach out to the state. That was authorized or approved by the state. I have not heard back, or the city has not heard back yet from CC's Bar, but she is aware that she is allowed to do that. Chair Johnson has asked about updating Lakes Area Media Collaborative. Just so you are aware that I did reach out to Dave Henschke several times via email requesting those funds be returned to the city. Each response was saying that they would be consulting with their attorney and then be back in touch shortly. Still have not heard back. Then Attorney Langle did draft a letter that was sent to Dave Henschke and 3 of their board members. That is also attached in your packet for your information. Last but not least, this afternoon or this evening, I had the opportunity to attend CLC's 10-year planning meeting. They have some consultants that came in and invited some community partners to come in and provide some feedback on things that CLC is doing well and any advice that they had from the community. If you have any ideas, I'm sure that they would love to hear them as well on their partnership with the city of Brainerd. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Mayor Dave Bedell.
Well, first and foremost, Jesse, I hear you say that we have some pothole problems. If I can offer a solution, I would recommend, it seems to be the perfect size, let's just place some Kevin Stuniks down in all the potholes. Perfect size, perfect fit. It'll take care of all the issues.
I need an attorney.
Yeah.
No one?
All right. Only one thing to talk about today, and that is this Saturday, April 8th. You heard it last time. You'll hear it again this time. It is the Easter egg hunts in the area. Sounds like we're going to have a doozy. However, Easter eggs are brightly colored. And if I know anything about our Parks Department or anything about NP Event Center, is they are prepared. And hopefully your kids will find all of the eggs. I will recommend bringing gloves and snow pants and all sorts of winter activity gear. However, 10 a.m. Gregory Park, 11 a.m. and 10 a.m. sharp. And I want to say thank you to Katie for doing that, because I'm a big fan of sharp. 10 a.m. sharp.
10-ish sharp.
10-ish sharp. The activities will begin. We have extra eggs this year. Kids should have a great time. Gregory Park. And then at 11 a.m., you're going to want to saunter yourself over to NP Event Center. Every single year, that for the last handful of years, starting with the pandemic, has just been a great event. And we want to thank Mike and all the guys over there for putting that on. And then also working with us so that we're not just, stacking these things right on top of one another. So 2 great events this Saturday, 10 a.m. Gregory Park, 11 a.m. NP Event Center. Get your kids some eggs and hopefully not some frostbite.
Wow.
That's what I was thinking. Chief, do you mind going first so I don't hear any whining?
What is it, pick on Kevin Nader? What?
Pick on Jeff on that one.
I have nothing important to say.
Thank you. Ms. Terry?
Nothing here.
Mr. Johnson?
Mr. President, I read in the Brainerd Daily Dispatch that if we get 2 inches of snow, it will be the snowiest winter in recorded history of Brainerd. We're at like 80 inches and change. If we get over 82 inches, it'll be more snow than we've had fallen since we started keeping track.
I know the official measure will have 2.5 for sure.
Thank you.
Was that like good news?
It's interesting.
Okay. If you've been reading some of the emails between myself and Engineer Dan, I have withdrawn my support for the Washington Street 210 project, specifically because some of the plans that have come forth after we gave municipal consent have changed. At least to my knowledge, they've changed. This is typical and not unexpected of MnDOT to do this. They did it on South 6th Street, and they're doing it to us again. Or at least it looks like they are. I understand we have, and I commend our engineer, has been trying to get to the bottom of this, but I can only tell you what drawings before the municipal consent looked like, and I can tell you they look different now. Specifically, there's a couple of road approaches or easements that have disappeared. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what I can do except for to notify you of this. No surprise from our friends at MnDOT, but very disappointing that they would try this again. So the other thing is, like, I really got to give a kudos to Gabe Johnson on this Lakes Area Media Collaborative. We all laughed when for 2 years he gave us a report that there was no report and we were getting nothing back. Now it took the attorney 2 years, but now he's written a letter finally.
3 letters.
And 3 letters, and I would imagine, I don't know the chairman of the board for the Lakes Area Media Collaborative, but I do know some of the board members and their citizens, and I don't think when we publish the list that they're gonna be too excited to see their name on it, and I hope we continue to press on with that, and thank you, Gabe Johnson, for keeping it part of what's important and what we do. Okay, I'm done now. Mr. O'Day.
All right, Thursday, the EDA meets, looking forward to that meeting. Also looking forward to finding all the motions that this council made and passed in the last 2 years that I just didn't agree with, because now we can just bring those up and reverse them. So that's exciting. That's all.
My goodness.
All right, Tiffany Stangline.
The Buff Board met, and which is the Brainerd Unified Fund.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Goodness.
Which is the first time since 2021. I think it's like my 3rd meeting. But we have money to lend out for gap financing, and we are moving some of that money out to support our businesses and job creation.
Thank you, Mr. Chesnick.
I have information about Public Utilities Commission. They would love to meet with us. And I asked that I think Jennifer was going to put some sort of agenda together with their cooperation, I do believe. And that should be very interesting because there's a lot of interesting items to discuss related to public utilities and the city of Brainerd. Some of them might shock you, no pun intended.
Electricity.
Thank you, Jeff. We're gonna put that as an agenda item on the next,
Okay.
that meeting, on the next,
Something to look forward
council
to, that's
meeting.
for
And
sure.
I'm excited. That and 5 openings on the rental housing board, man, that is exciting. I can be the entire thing, the entire group. All right, item 13 is we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Stunek.
Second.
Second by Stengline. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Don't believe I am still the liaison.